realism, it is going to be, the requirements are going to be get implemented using the technology, current technology, as well as the budget. If the technology is going to be old, so this is not going to be considered. New technologies, the good budgets, based on the budget, technology is going to be used. Okay, so that is what the realism of the product. So sometimes you have to accept that thing and you should proceed. Verifiability, can it be checked? What are the things that we can able to verify? Requirements, can it be verified? It is very difficult task basically is. Okay, so requirements cannot be verified, cannot be checked, because that requirements they will be going to give it. Whether it is going to be possible or not, that it should be verified in such a way that conflicts are going to be, even if they are going to accept that, then it is going to be accepted. There are different techniques are there, validation techniques. Requirements reviews are going to be taken, prototyping is there, test case generation is there. Now here requirements reviews. So systematically, the manually, that we will be going to consider that, okay, this is the requirement, this is the output, so we are getting, so whether reviews have been taken. So if everything is going to be correct, then it is going to be accepted. Prototyping is going to be done. Executable model is going to be there, so that it should be checked based on the requirements. If the output is going to be given properly based on the input, it should be accepted. Okay. Similarly, the test case generation. So you will be going to write the test cases for the product. So for example, username and password, if it is going to be considered, the username maximum characters are going to be 15. Then if your test case is going to be executed for 15 or less than 15, the test is being passed. If more than that, if it goes, if the test passes, then system is failed. If the test is fails, system is going to pass. Okay, so like that, the test cases validations are going to be done. The same thing that it has been discussed in this also. Reviews. How are we going to check this? Verifiability, comprehensibility, traceability, adaptability, that we are going to use for the review checks. Verifiability, is the requirement is realistically testable, whether it is possible to test in real, so that it should be verified. Comprehensibility, is the properly it should understood, the requirement is properly understood or not. Okay, because when the input is being given, the output is not proper. So at that time, whether the input, how to give the input, whether it is understood or not, so that should be checked. Traceability, the origin of the requirements clearly stated. So that's why the requirement specification comes under this. You see, we are in the reviews, okay, but we are going for the back to the requirement specifications over there. So according to that, whether it is passing the test or not, we are tracing it. Okay, so 4 into 4 should be 16. So whether we are going to get that or not, so that should be checked here. Then adaptability, can the requirement be changed without the large impact on the other requirements? Adaptability, accepting the changes. Okay, for example, one program, that is a web program, if you consider, okay, which is written properly in the HTML documentation, it accepts in the Internet Explorer, it is going to execute properly. But the same program without modification, whether it works in the other browsers like Sun Safari is there, then we have other applications, so that whether it is possible to execute that program. Okay, so if it is small modification, if it is accepted, okay. Whether it is requires, if it is not going to execute at all, then adaptability fails over there. So these are the checks that you have to make it. The change in the requirements is another big problem. It is basically because always whenever that you will be going to do some project, change requirements, if it comes, very difficult to manage this. So let us see what are the change requirements it is going to have in our system. So last moment, the business and technical environment, it is going to have some changes in the, after the installation also they will be going to ask for the change, because when in the start of the time the project is started for the first month and it is ended in after 3 years, then at that time the requirement specification is being given for the 3 years back. Now after 3 years the project is getting implemented, definitely there will be the change. Again, definitely there will be the change in the environment and business, everything that it is going to change. So after the installation, if the change is required, so that you have to accept it. First thing. Then another thing is that the people who pay for the system and the users of that system are rarely the same people. It is nothing but the who is going to work on that particular system and who is going to use that system. Okay, so both will be the same organizations, we can say. Okay, our peoples are going to be accepted, and the end users are going to be the peoples who is going to use that system. So the requirements are going to change when it is getting implemented. The changes may be adopted in that system, because whatever the requirements is being given is the outdated, we can say, or we can say the 3 years back or 4 years back the data is being given. That time it didn't predict that this is going to be the change is required. So what happens basically is there is a failure will be there. So your system should adapt to the changes for the requirements. So the changes when it is present for the large systems, it is very difficult. It's very difficult. If you are going to use for a 10-year projects, okay, so change is going to occur, then it should go from the beginning to the end. So it is going to take a lot of time and energy also. Okay, cost also it is going to increase. Okay, so you should avoid such changes. Here, requirements evolution changing, that's what it is being said in this. First is that initial understanding of the problem. First, initial requirements is being given. Change understanding of the problem, change the requirements. You see the time here, started here in the initial stage and ended in the over here. Still it is not, okay, so it is going on still, but change is required in between only. Then again this change has to get adapted into the previous system which it is already is going on. The system should change the requirements. The management changes, that is requirements are going to be given by the management also. So many people are going to give in between the changes, or you can say the requirements will be given, and those requirements are to be managed. Okay. So how will we going to manage this requirements? It is the process of managing the changing requirements during the requirements engineering process. And you collect the information, that time you will be going to change. After the implementation also you will be going to change the documentation or requirement specifications. Then it should be get developed. New changes, if it is completely new, is there. Small changes, if it is going to be there, then it can be acceptable. If the big changes are there, new concept only, new functionality only that is required,